What's up, guys? There's some new information today regarding NASCAR Heat 4, and there's also some other information that I want to talk about in terms of marketing and this other stuff. So, I have a feeling this is going to be a little lengthy. If you don't have a lot of time, I would suggest that maybe you stop the video now and maybe come back to it when you have some time. This way, you don't really, miss out anything that I'm talking about. So I'm gonna do the best I can to get through this, as quickly as possible. So the first stuff I'm gonna talk about is an article by GameInformer. So if you could bear with me for a second, let me get my reading glasses on. I got to look at this on my phone. So, all right. So the article on GameInformer is titled "5 Important Improvements for NASCAR Heat 4." Okay. So I'm going to read it, and as I read it, like I've done before, I'll tell you what I think, or give you whatever thoughts I might have on it. So it starts off with, although there isn't a particular hyped new feature for NASCAR Heat 4, that doesn't mean the game isn't changing in some fundamental ways. Basically, what I told you guys from the start, it's going to be there's nothing really new added to the game. It's pretty much making improvements to last year's game. So this is pretty much confirming what I've already told you guys. Nothing surprising here. In fact, developer Monster Games has made a host of improvements for this iteration of the series that should be evident right from the start. I'm a little confused. Sometimes I see them referred to as 704, sometimes Monster Games. I'm not really sure what's going on behind the scenes with this company. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But, okay, improvements from the start. Several of these upgrades are born out of a single feature, more gameplay control via sliders. Okay? Whether you directly use these or not, even behind the scenes they are part of how NASCAR Heat 4 is working to be better than its predecessor. Okay. Most of the gameplay mechanics that they worked on, a lot of the new features, well, they call them features, but it's basically a lot of it is something that you control in the options menu. So the first thing they talk about is multiple race lines, right? So they confirm, yes, the AI is going to be running multiple race lines, which I'm happy to hear. This is what I want to hear. In the article, they go on to say, in my hands-on time with the game, one of the things that was immediately noticeable was the fact that the rest of the AI cars took multiple race lines around the track when possible. Sounds good. It's what I want to hear. This is a change from past iterations, and it opens up different strategies and outcomes. Okay. For the players themselves, the long-term advantages of using a different line throughout the race may necessitate tweaking your car's setup to get the maximum results. Okay. A lot of this is filler jargon, but the main point is the AI is going to run different lines. Now here's the where the details get a little more descriptive from what we've known so far. Running with the pack. A new slider this year allows you to adjust how compressed or spread out the field you want the field to be. Now, earlier, I wasn't sure when they talked about spread, what they meant, but they are going to give you direct control over how much you want this field to spread out or not. I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. I thought that it would just, the AI would always behave more realistically, which to me is spreading out more. But apparently they're giving you that ability through a slider to make that adjustment. Some people may want these cars bunched up in a pack. I don't see why you'd want that, but at least you have an option to control it. Again, I'm not really sure how I feel about that. So I don't want to get too carried away with being positive or negative, at least we know they're making it so that the AI spreads out if you want it to. And I kind of like that you can go and tweak the behavior of the AI. And they're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on. So you can manually tweak the stability. I went too far ahead. Okay. This has a big influence on the overall difficulty of the race, the availability of draft partners, and is philosophically tied with the new collision sliders. More sliders, more options. Since you can manually tweak the stability of both your car and the AI's car as well as their ability to recover from contact. Okay, I'm still not 100% sure what that is, but I guess they're making it where I guess the physics change a little bit depending on where you choose the slider to be. So if you want it to be where it's probably more simulator like, or not full, obviously it's not going to be a simulator, but closer to that type of racing, maybe the contact and all that stuff is going to behave differently. And if you slide it the other way, it's probably going to be more arcadey type of feel. I suppose if they make it work properly, at least you have that option for people that don't want it too realistic. Maybe if they find it too difficult to race that way. I don't have a problem with that as long as it works the way it's meant to work. So that's a big question mark. We have yet to see how that works. Okay. Determining what happens when cars get together. This attempts to fix a previous concern about cars sliding out too easily at times and gives players options for all abilities. Through these mechanisms, the game not only brings the pack together, if that's what you want, but also improves what happens afterward. Okay, so, once again, you can control how much the field spreads out and also how these cars behave around each other and how they respond to contact. Finally, the game's drafting has been redone in part because of the new aero package, which I fucking hate. But I get it. This is, they should do this. As dictated by NASCAR in real life for some tracks. The result is different kinds of drafting playing can play a bigger role in the racing, including your relationships on the track. Then it goes to dirt track origins. Dirt racing plays a larger role in the game at the beginning of your career. The progression curve's a little slower than last year, in part because there are fewer interruptions to your dirt season thanks to fewer hot seat opportunities. Of course, if you want to go directly to other series, you can, which we already knew. So you can start in other series. You're not forced to do the whole thing if you don't want to. Options are always good. I got no problem with that. Okay. On dirt tracks themselves, the AI racers get loose and turn into corners more, which is what you want to hear. But, a lot of times how many times have we seen these guys overpromise and underdeliver? So, again, take all of this with a grain of salt. We don't really know how well it works yet. Then we get to another thing I'm really interested in. Better AI behavior means better racing. And this paragraph, that's the title. And that is really important because those of you who've been watching me, this is what I preach. I've been telling you guys for years. How the AI races each other, it makes all the difference in how the racing in the game feels. And I really think it's important. I know a lot of people have physics at the top of their list, and yes, that is important. But for me, the AI, to me, is a little more important because it doesn't matter how well the physics are if the AI doesn't race properly, and there's just too many things that kind of ruin the race progression. So, apart from changing the AI through sliders, developer Monster Games has changed the AI lap times. so they fall off more realistically, bringing them on par with those of the player AI. So this is a huge problem with these games where your tires fall off and the AI doesn't fall off. They're still running the same lap times, and we all know that problem very well. And yes, this is very clear in this article that yes, they've adjusted that. So I'm really happy to hear that. That's really good news. Again, till we actually see it in action, we don't know how well they've implemented this new setup. But I like hearing that they worked on this. That means they know and understand that this is one of our big complaints, and they told us they worked on it. So just hearing that they're on it, that's good. That's good stuff. That's actually something that's good to hear. Okay. Fuel and tire consumption can be tweaked by the sliders, which is not new, but the game's overall tire compounds have been redone for all the tracks, which affects everyone's lap times and tire grip. Not sure too much what they mean by that, but they worked on the tire models. That's pretty much what I get from it, and it does need it. This in turn means the AI pits more than they used to. Another big thing I wanted to hear. We haven't really heard anything about pit strategy, which is a huge problem in the game. This sounds great because the AI only seems to pit when their fuel is almost out. So that's what I want to hear. Usually when there's a caution or any time when cars pit whenever they can in real life, that's tires are valuable. So I want to hear that these AIs, I'm sick and tired of pitting for tires and losing 30 fucking spots because everyone stayed out, even though they got fucking tons of fucking mileage on their tires. So this is good news, and I hope that it works as intended. So that's really good news. Pit more than they used to at different times, and comes out with various pit times, further changing the complexion of races. Furthermore, the AI has better crash avoidance behavior, as well as a controllable slider for their rate of mechanical failure. More things that I'm excited to hear about. One, when they talk about AI has better crash avoidance behavior, I have to believe that means sense of awareness. When you hear me always talk about that, the sense of awareness is really bad, where they plow into you or into, it's like, this sounds good. So I hope they were actually able to improve it, but at least they're showing here that it's something they worked on. So, and a controllable slider for their rate of mechanical failure, which confirms that yes, there is going to be mechanical failures for the AI. For the player, there's no mention about that, but at least there's a slider as well for that. So I want to put it all the way up and see how that works. And then if you see like too many incidences of mechanical failure, you can always dial it down. I like having control of that because you can always tweak it to your liking. And again, it confirms that, yeah, there's going to be mechanical failures, right? And to be honest with you, I was kind of pleased with the way NASCAR, that's one of the things I liked about NASCAR Heat 3. You would see periodically cars go into the wall, maybe a tire went down or the blown engine. The problem is that a lot of times these cars fucking stayed out on the track, ruining everything. So they really got to make sure this stuff works properly, so it doesn't ruin the game. Okay? Then we get to the next paragraph, which confirms, again, more of what I already told you guys, right? So you guys are going to see that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. When I tell you something, I'm not talking out of my ass. Change is not made. While NASCAR Heat 4 should look and feel different, there are some aspects that are remaining the same. Told you they're not, Custom car creator functions the same as last year. The leader on a restart will not be able to pick their lane. And speeding on pit road is a park penalty and not a pass through. Again, they didn't fix that for whatever reason. So that's going to be something that's still going to bother people. But there's no paint booth. We already knew that. I already told you guys there wasn't going to be a paint booth. I warned people not to get, don't get carried away. Don't get your hopes up. And the custom car creator functions the same as last year. That means, in my estimation, it's probably exactly the same. They probably didn't even add templates, which is not good. I'm not happy about that. And how hard is it to add some fucking templates, man? I mean, there's some things you can do with the custom car creator the way it is now that you could make it better. Just adding templates, and even if you can't add more numbers, add different number fonts, outlines, different outlines to the numbers. Have some numbers where it's 3D or with a shadow. There's a lot you can do. Simple things that would elevate the custom car creation. And add a better color palette where it's a little wider. And make it so you could color the wheels any color you want. I mean, there's a lot you can do without giving us a full paint booth. I mean, if you couldn't do that, you could have at least done that. So people are going to be disappointed, but I warned you guys, if you didn't hear about a feature, that means it's not in the game. And don't get your hopes up on that aspect. So, one thing that is different, however, is that races can end under caution instead of going overtime. Okay, that's somewhat positive. The developer said in the past this was due to a bug, but that's been addressed. Bugs are supposed to be addressed through patches. NASCAR Heat 3 has had a bunch of patches, and this is something else I fucking hate. They release a patch. They don't tell you what this patch is for. You go online, you look up, let's say the last patch I think was patch 1.18. There's nowhere you can find out what the fuck this patch is supposed to address. It's all a fucking mystery. Again, horrible communications by this company. So, but it is what it is. Then there's a photo of the new interface, right? It says the career mode interface has been redone, including with practice sessions. Practice lap times will tell you whether you're fast enough to hit global objectives. And they show a photo of a truck inside the garage, inside the track, and you see a couple people standing around. So I like that new look, but I would like to see these guys actually doing something, working on the car, changing springs, somebody under the car. You, as the driver, actually talking to the crew chief. Some action going on in the background. Instead of just having the same old thing with the guy leaning up against the truck and two other guys just talking to each other. I mean, I know I'm being nitpicky, but the lack of presentation in this game is still horrendous. So, then the next paragraph says, the next stage in your career, NASCAR Heat 4 is adding incrementally to the series career structure in a few ways that fans will notice apart from the new graphics and user interface. Confirming what I've already told you guys. Adding incrementally to the series. That means baby steps. That's the translation. So they're pretty much letting you know, yeah, they're adding to the series incrementally, in baby steps. So they're letting you know, don't expect too much. I previously touched on the overall progression when talking about the Dirt series above. And the mode's contract payouts have been changed to create more incentive for those who want more challenge. Now this is also interesting and another positive step, another baby step, but it's positive. In the shop, your racing team is affected by how you treat your chassis during the weekend. In an attempt to deal with the issue of damage, if your car returns to the shop without damage, you'll be awarded a clean race bonus that lets you get that chassis to a higher rating, like 75 versus 70. So it's a small little boost, but it's nice having a reward that something that rewards you for racing clean. This is something I've talked about in the past, and a suggestion I've made to people out there. If you want to enjoy these games more, I think it's important to try to race realistically. Wait, if you've ever seen my gameplays racing, you will notice that I'm not perfect, but I do try to race clean. I don't just force my way to the front. I don't plow the AI out of the way. And I see a lot of people play these games and they kind of treat it like a video game. They just plow people out the way. You know, they do things that you would never do in real life because you can't get away with that. And yeah, it's easier to get to the front if you're just plowing the AI out of the way. I try to race clean. It's more challenging that way. And I've made that suggestion to people. I do think people would enjoy the game more if you raced longer races and you took your time and you really methodically raced clean. And for me, that is more rewarding. And I like that if you don't have damage to the car and you race clean, that there is some kind of reward for that. Okay? Also, you're going to have to spend money on the car a little more. Then, you know, the incentive in this game, after a while, you got money and you maxed out all your attributes and stuff. It's like, it's the career mode hits a wall. So, then it says there is also a shop upgrade that gives you faster and more efficient pit times. I love that. So now you can actually also invest more in trying to get better pit times. So when you pit, you have a little more of an advantage. I love that. These are tiny details. They're baby steps. But if you add up enough of these baby steps, I really think if they're successful, you're going to feel, the game's going to feel better. It's going to race better. So I like hearing these stuff. Then it goes to a disappointing thing. Although you cannot hire a second driver for your organization in the game, you can get help in the form of friends that you make on the track. So, no, you can't hire a driver, whatever. But it shows, the fact that they bring that up, it at least shows that they know people want that. And hopefully that means that this is something they're going to work on. Okay, so yeah, it's not positive, but at the same time, I'm looking for a silver lining. And I think that the fact that they're aware of these things, maybe they'll work on it. I mean, you can only hope. The Friends and Rivals system was in last year's title, but NASCAR Heat 4 wants to bring out the Friends aspect a little more via drafting on the track. Friends you've made through good racing will actively draft in front and behind you, depending on the track. This could be a big help in moving through the field and or regaining spots if you step out of line accidentally, you know, if you fall back for whatever reason, kind of out of the pack, whatever. Of course, on the last lap, it's everyone for themselves, right? So basically, this kind of sounds a lot like that's it for the article. Okay, so I'm gonna give my thoughts on that. Okay, now I can take these fucking glasses off and relax a little and just get into the meat of the article. But like I was saying, that kind of reminds me of NASCAR 2006, I think, to total team control, and I like that. You know, that's another incentive, in my opinion, to race clean, right? You have people out there that are friendlier with you, and you know they'll help draft with you and stuff like that. Anything that incentivizes you to race clean and more methodical, I really think that's where I get the most enjoyment out of the game. When I'm in these long runs and I'm just picking off cars little by little, not just ramming my way through a bunch of cars, you know, that's to me not enjoyable. So I like this. I kind of sounds cool, this drafting thing. So basically this article, which is from GameInformer. I'm going to tell you a few things. First of all, GameInformer, it's these so-called media sites. You got to take what you hear with a grain of salt. A lot of times these guys are paid by developers to say nice things, right? And so you got to keep that in mind. And 95% of this article is basically sort of, I guess, what Monster Games or 704, whatever they call in themselves, it's sort of like a press release to Game Informer telling them, okay, we're giving you a deeper description of what everything is for your article, and they're kind of like interpreting that article. It's a little disturbing to me that even though they said they had some hands-on with the game, they don't really talk about their opinions on what they've seen in terms of playing the game hands-on. I want to hear like what they thought of it, any issues they've encountered, or what they, their impressions. You don't get that at all in the article, and that to me, it takes a lot away from the article. Like this article, it could have came from Game Informer, or it could have just came straight from 704. It might as well have been something they released. So that's part of it. The other thing is Game Informer is a bigger media site, and one thing I can tell you, they don't have a big history when it comes to race games. They cover big titles. The type of games that really sell big and are much more popular, your Call of Duty, Battlefield type games, any big titles, those are the type of games they really focus on. NASCAR games is not something that these guys are really going to be well versed in. I just don't get the impression that those guys really give a shit about NASCAR games. So the article it just feels like it could have came from anyone. It doesn't feel like Game Informer is giving you a real hands-on opinion of what they've seen, right? So they claim they had some hands-on with it, but they don't get into their personal thoughts on it. So that's what I think, and I take these articles with a grain of salt. But that being said, I like everything I heard because it really described better for us those details that were initially released by 704. So we know now that when they've confirmed that yes, the AI spreads out, but it is dependent on how your options, right? There's a slider option, and you choose how much you want the AI to spread out, how they behave, things of that nature. There is a question mark there on how that's going to work. I'm not sure. Like I was always thinking that the game's just going to work that way. But it is sort of something you control in the options menu. And a part of me likes it. A part of me's like, I don't know how I feel. So I'm interested to know how you guys feel about that. But I think at the end of the day, it's probably more positive because options are always a good thing. And I do like when they leave things optional for players. Also, other race titles that are more simulator like, they do give you a lot of these so-called slider options where you can have a lot more control over every aspect of the AI, the physics, all this other stuff. So it looks like this is a little baby step closer to that style of the way the game is run. So I like hearing this stuff. I know that you're going to be able to get the field to spread out. Also, they talked a bit about the sense of awareness. They called it crash avoidance, intelligence, whatever. In either case, I really hope that this means you don't have these guys dive bombing you and sticking the nose of the car underneath you when there's this much room between you and the apron. That is something I fucking hate. And that ruins the race a lot of the time. Or other times where you're near the wall and another car's inside and he just pushes you into the wall. So I'm hoping that stuff has been at least improved. I'm not expecting 100% night and day improvement, but I like that they worked on this stuff, and I like that it does seem like they are aware of the things that we've been complaining about, for the most part, not everything. So I like that stuff, but there's still no gameplay footage. There doesn't seem to be like any They're not going to invite anybody like they have the past couple of years, like Jeff Favignano or even Real Radman last year, and giving these guys this early taste of the game. That's not a good sign. You know, when you are proud of your product, you want to show it off. And I'm not saying that it means that these guys they know this game is not going to run well and that they're afraid to show it. I'm just saying that, judging by past history, it's a sign, right? So I could be right, I could be wrong, I don't know. I don't know how I feel, but the lack of information from these guys, the lack of revealing footage, there's still 6 weeks to go, and I do expect them to reveal something. You know, I haven't heard anything about developer diaries like we've seen in years past. I want to hear more about the game. I want these guys to come out and really let us know a lot of this stuff in further detail. And show us some of this gameplay. Show us examples of DAI and how their behavior is going to change. Show us some of this stuff. There's no reason to keep this stuff secret. This is not a story-based game. It's a fucking sports title. You got to be more forthcoming with information, right? But overall, I got more positive vibes from the article than negative, you know. So I want to know what you guys think of that article. That's the only information that's out so far in terms of that. And this is going to lead me to the second half of this video. And it's going to be about the marketing. And it's going to be about something else that I don't know if this just happened, but I'm always poking around for information on these games because, again, they don't fucking reveal anything. So I went to the 704 site, and I think I saw something people talking on Reddit about this. If you order the gold package, it was supposed to come with this Jeff Gordon Steel book. You know, that was one of the fucking benefits of that. It turns out that there's no more Steel book. Now, you're going to get a gold box or whatever the fuck they call it. Basically, you're going to get a cardboard box with some probably glittery gold, front. Personally, I don't give a fuck about the Steelbook. I never did. But I'm going to argue on behalf of those of you who do care about that. I realize there are people out there who like collectibles. And this is deceptive marketing. This fucking pisses me off. And this is why I got such a problem with this company and the shady marketing and horrible just way they go about promotion and information release about this game. Now, first of all, the only way you're going to find out about this that I'm talking about is if you happen to run into somebody talking about it, like me or somebody else. And you guys know I don't have a big following. I'm not well known. So only a handful of you guys are even going to find out about this. Other guys may talk about it. But even if you take all that into account, there's a lot of people who pre-ordered the gold package and are sitting back at home counting the days, waiting for that gold Steelbook edition to land on their doorstep. And when it shows up, they're going to find out it's a fucking cardboard bullshit box. That's when they're going to find out. And they're going to say, what the fuck is going on? Now, I went on the 704 site. And when you look down and they go through all the features of this year's game. And they tell you what you're getting with the gold package versus the regular. Right? And it's $70 versus $50. But the first main thing they tell you is this Jeff Gordon gold edition box. There's an asterisk next to it. Most of you guys know an asterisk means scroll down to the bottom of whatever page you're looking at, and you're going to get some special information about what you just saw. And when you scroll down, it clearly says, due to the manufacturing issues, we are not able to supply the steel boxes. In exchange, we're just going to give these gold boxes or whatever. They don't get really descriptive about it, but I'm telling you what it is. It's a fucking fancy cardboard box, probably with some fancy glitter gold on it. Okay? Now, this pisses me the fuck off because I've been talking for years about the horrible marketing of this company. But there's another thing that's really evident right now. And as a game developer, you're supposed to recognize what's going on in the gaming industry. You see what other developers are doing. You see where they're fucking up. When you hear EA, when you hear about Take-Two, when you hear about Bethesda and these companies, they don't have a good reputation. Because every year they overhype their games. The games never turn out to be what they were hyped out to be. They use misleading footage to get people excited. And there's the microtransaction bullshit, DLC. There's an endless list of issues that any game developer in the business should be aware of. And these guys should know. I'm going to bring up another developer, which I just mentioned, Bethesda. Now, some of you may know about a game called Fallout 76. Fallout 76, tons of controversy over the past year. They released that game last year. It was overhyped. Everybody was looking forward to it. Pre-orders up the ass. So, the game finally comes out, and it's garbage. The game was overhyped. They fucking bragged about the graphics and all this innovative shit, and then people got the game and everybody said the same thing. It looks like a last generation game. Not even a modern day current generation game, a last generation game. The game was full of bugs and glitches. And it was just boring. There was nothing really in the game. It was a huge fucking disappointment. But the worst part is that Bethesda got into this ridiculous marketing campaign. They started selling all of these bullshit collectibles. The first thing was this bag, this glorified duffel bag, but it was supposed to be made out of, I don't know if it was canvas or nylon, whatever it was. But it turned out they couldn't fill these orders. They had to instead of the original material, which they showed off and it looked great and people ordered this shit, it ended up being this bullshit material. I don't know if it was nylon or canvas, but whatever the case is, you can easily look this shit up. Google it. Bethesda Fallout 76 duffel bag and this other thing I'm going to talk about, which is a rum bottle. Okay, please do the research on this. You're going to find out what a fucking nightmare this company is and how. I don't want to get too far into this shit, but I'm comparing this shit in the interest of showing that 704 or Monster Games, these people, they're not paying attention to what's going on out there. And Bethesda's a bigger company. So it ended up they started shipping out these garbage fucking bags that were worthless. Something you wouldn't even take for free. So they didn't really refund people's money. They were just like, well, alright, you're not going to get this. You're not going to get caviar, but here, we sent you a bunch of fucking ground beef. Taco Bell in a bag shit. Sorry. Even though you paid for that quality bag, you got a shit bag. Then there's this fucking rum bottle. And when you went on the Bethesda site, it really looked like a cool bottle. The bottle was in shape of a bomb or something, which is a theme in this game, Fallout 76. And it's a fancy rum bottle, right? So if you're somebody who likes collectibles, it looks cool. I don't remember the price, but I'm going to throw a number out there that I think is fairly accurate. I think they were selling this for $80 fucking dollars. Now you got to be out of your fucking mind to buy this shit from a fucking game company. But there's people out there, they're into this collectibles shit, they get all fucking geeked up for it, and they're willing to spend it. Well, as it turned out, it wasn't a real bottle. The rum bottle itself was real, but this fancy bottle you saw that it was brown in the shape of a bomb with the Fallout 76 and all this fancy shit, it was a plastic cover for that rum bottle. But when you saw it on the site, it looks like a bottle. It looked high quality. It looked like something that was cool. And if I was one of these real collector type guys, yeah, I fucking could see myself buying it maybe. And then you find out it's a hunk of shitty plastic that probably cost $3 to make. And that plastic is cut in half. It's like two halves of a bottle. And you put it together and it surrounds the real rum bottle. It is... You do yourselves a favor, man. Google it, YouTube it, whatever. You're going to see what a joke this stuff is. And what a ripoff. Now, if I was working at 704 and I was one of these higher ups, I would have never approved this steelbook. One, I don't like gimmicks. To me, gimmicks are something you need to promote something that's really not, it's not worth what you're asking people to pay for, so you're throwing extra gimmicky garbage in there just to entice people to buy. These NASCAR games should sell themselves based on quality. When you gotta start packaging all this shit to try to get people to buy, that's not a good sign. That's what pisses me off about this company. I would have never approved the steel box thing. Also, the fact is, they should have put out a press release everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and let people know, listen, we screwed up. We thought we could fill these orders, but because of manufacturing issues, the people that we went into business with to create these boxes, they can't get it done. And we're sorry about that. We made a mistake, but we're going to discount the gold package. Whatever. We're going to discount it maybe by $5, whatever it is. I think as a gesture of good faith, to be honest with people and tell them we bit off more than we can chew, and it's a mistake we made, and we're gonna discount the gold package, which you're still getting DLC, you're still getting this other shit, whatever it is, but we're sorry. You're gonna get this fancy gold cardboard box, but you're not getting a steel box, and we're really sorry. We made a mistake. I think a lot of people would understand, and they would respect your honesty. But this is the kind of shit that pisses me the fuck off, because this is dishonest. And the only way people are going to know about this is if they go on the site and they reread the shit that they read the first day when they pre-ordered, and now they go back and notice, oh look, there's an asterisk next to the Jeff Gordon, the special Jeff Gordon case. That asterisk means I need to scroll down, and then I need a magnifying glass because it's in tiny, tiny fine print. And it tells you, oh, due to manufacturing issues, we can't get the steel box is a no-go, and instead you're getting some cardboard box replacement. We're sorry. We hope you can understand. That's not something most people are going to find out about. Most people are going to find out about this now because of maybe someone like me, someone else puts it on YouTube, talks about it, or someone on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, whatever the case may be. That's not the way you fucking spread information. And this only further proves that this company, the marketing is fucking atrocious. And I'm telling you, they're lucky that I don't work for them. That I'm not somebody up top making decisions, because heads would fucking roll. First of all, I would have never approved this. At some point, this was brought up at a meeting. Somebody came up with this bright idea and said, hey, let's fucking do this Jeff Gordon steel case thing and offer it as part of a gold pack. I would have shot it fucking down right then and there. I would have said, no, we're not doing that. Focus on the game. Let's make this game the best possible game we can make. They made the right decision. Just focus on the gameplay mechanics. Because they're limited, they can only do so much. So, in that sense, they made the right decision. I don't have a problem with that. I like the list of things they say they worked on. Now, if this shit doesn't work, I'm going to be pissed. But just judging by what they've worked on and what they're talking about, I am excited about that. But that doesn't excuse all the other shit they're doing. And I would have shot that down. We're not doing gimmicks. We're going to create the best possible game. This game's going to sell because of the game. Not because we're bundling up this extra garbage that only really people that are into collectibles give a fuck about. We don't need that. I don't like gimmicks, and I damn sure don't like the way this company does their marketing. Their lack of information is horrible. I don't know what else to say. This shit really pisses me off. And I don't care about the Steelbook. But I'm here on behalf of those of you who do care about the Steelbook. Because you probably purchased this gold package under those false pretenses. And now you're going to find out. I mean, if you're not watching me, some people just going to find out on the day they receive that gold package, and they're going to look around and say, where's the fucking Steelbook? And they're going to find, that's when they're going to find out. And these guys are hiding from this bullshit by putting it in fine print at the bottom of their fucking webpage. You have to do an official press release. Put this shit out on social media, whatever. Get out in front of this. Get your arms around it. And admit to people that you bit off more than you can chew. And you got to learn from the mistakes of other people. Bethesda is, they got, their reputation's in the toilet. And the shit they pulled is absolutely atrocious. People should be in fucking jail for that shit, as far as I'm concerned. But now you come out, and I get it. It's not, they're not in control, you know. Maybe they spoke to somebody who told them, yeah, we can build these steel boxes for you, and we can fill this order of whatever amount you're asking for. We'll fill that order. We can do these boxes. And now they found out we have a problem. There's issues with the die that makes these stamps out these steel boxes. Maybe there's issues in getting these gold text, you know, that gold look to these boxes. I mean, whatever the fuck this issue is, or maybe just a lack of material. I mean, these boxes weren't going to be really made of steel. They were probably going to be aluminum or something. But whatever the case is, for whatever reason, the manufacturer that was supposed to supply these steel boxes to 704, maybe they just couldn't get it done, as we see all the time. You know, with Bethesda, it was the lack of, quote-unquote, the material that these bags were supposed to be made out of, canvas. And instead, people were getting nylon. You should have fucking knew this shit ahead of time. Also, I don't fucking trust these guys. They telling you that it's a manufacturing issue. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they figured, crunched the numbers and said, well, we're selling this gold package for $70. There's not enough it's going to be more expensive to make these steel boxes. We're actually going to lose money. Even though the gold package is $20 more than the non-gold, it's just not enough to cover the expense. Again, you fucked up. You bit off more than you can chew. And that's what bothers me about this company as a business. There's a lot of red flags popping up. And I got to tell you, the marketing is sinking this company. Their focus on esports and all this other garbage, they need to build the best possible offline game. That's what's going to sell these fucking games. Not gimmicks, not steelbooks, not this fucking bullshit. The game is what's going to sell. And I'm telling you, the marketing and the lack of information from these guys and the lack of just being upfront with people. You'd be surprised how many people would be understanding if you just came out and been upfront with people. And instead, we gotta fucking dig and dig and dig and go on this exploration for tiny bits of information. These guys got the fucking license for almost another 10 years. I got news for you, man. I don't see how this company's gonna make it. They might be around for another 2 or 3 years, and I don't see this unless they step up their fucking game across the board, marketing wise, focus wise, on the game itself, elevating it, adding real content, fleshing the game out where it needs to be fleshed out, listening to the fans. If you don't fucking get your shit in gear and hire extra help where it matters. They hired all these fucking people related to something I have no idea what they're doing. Meanwhile, they don't have enough people to do more than what they did this year. So it speaks for itself. You need more help. Hire some extra developers. I don't see this company lasting another 2 or 3 years unless they fucking really, like the next game, it really kick it into another gear. I've been very supportive and very fair to this company. It's shit like that really fucking bothers me. And they should be ashamed of themselves. You don't put shit like that in fine print. And only certain people, if they're actually looking for information, are going to figure that out. Even the asterisk thing, a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They see Jeff Gordon case. They already heard it was about a steel case, whatever, and they see an asterisk there. Some people don't even know what that is. They're just fucking great. And they're going to find out 6 weeks from now when they don't get a fucking case. But you did it to yourselves. You are painting yourself in an unnecessary corner because you're not getting your arms around the problem. You're not getting out ahead of the issue and being upfront about it, which this should have never happened to begin with. I would never approve this fucking gimmick. This is a gimmick. Gimmicks, yeah, they might boost your pre-orders, but in the long run, you pay a really big price for that. Ask Bethesda. And let me tell you something, the stock prices of EA, Take-Two, and all these people, they're dropping because people are getting tired of the shenanigans, tired of being sold meaningless garbage. They want better games. Even Madden Football this year had a big buzz behind it, lots of big promotion, and it's turning out to be another year of overhype, and people are starting, who've had some early access to the game, they're starting to say, yeah, there's some baby steps improvements, but for the most part, it's more cut and paste rehash of what we've been seeing the past few years. And people are getting tired of that shit. And if you really want to make it to the end of this licensing deal, you better step up your fucking game and hire more help. For God's sake, man, you need to listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about and I'm not an expert in development, game development, or marketing, but it doesn't take a genius to see this shit. There's a problem here. This is not a good look. Now you got fucking egg on your face. Because now you got to tell people, I'm sorry, there's not going to be steelbook cases because of manufacturing issues. And for all we know, it's just probably an issue on your fucking end. Maybe you just didn't calculate everything right. And now you realize, well, $70 for this gold edition, in order to provide these steelbook cases, is just not enough. And we underestimated the cost of this shit. So we'll blame the fucking manufacturing process when it's really our fucking fault. We should have seen this coming. And you guys got to pay attention to what's happening in the gaming industry. Other fucking developers are making huge fucking mistakes. Trying to rip people off with fucking gimmicks. Get away from this shit. Focus on the game. Any money that you're investing needs to go to hiring some extra help so you can get other things done. And for God's sake, the next game you need to go all in on presentation and all this shit. Get rid of all this fucking live action cutscenes of people. That is disconnecting from the game. I fucking hate that shit. It looks like another gimmick. And you've been doing this now since the first game. I fucking hate it, man. I can't. Every time I see one of these fucking drivers or some live action cutscene, I fucking hate it. Everything in the game should be animated. It comes across as cheap and low production quality. You guys got to step up your fucking game. There's a chance that this game could still be a nice improvement. And if the racing is what you claim it is now, with these improvements, hey man, I'll be okay with that. Okay? I get it. There's only so much you can do with a company of your size, but you guys got to get on the fucking ball, man. And if I was in charge, my focus would be 100% on the fucking offline of this game. That's what's going to fucking sell. And even the online multiplayer, they haven't talked at all about it. So they talked about doubling down on esports. Well, how have you doubled down on it? What have you done? There's no mention of it. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, some of this shit really fucking irks me. And I'm tired of this shit. I've been talking about a lot of these issues. And they got to learn from history, man. I'm starting to get that feeling that I had with NASCAR 2014 from Eutechnics. And it turned out that the next game, it was like they were already going out of business. We didn't really know it yet. But they released NASCAR 2015, which was nothing more than a cut and paste rehash of 2014 with an updated roster. That's all it was. And even, at least they had the fucking courtesy, the decency to not charge the price of a full game. I forgot how much they charged for it, but at least it was glorified DLC price. And I'm starting to get that feeling, man. Like, behind the scenes, this company just doesn't feel like they know what the fuck they're doing. Not marketing-wise, not business-wise. The only good thing I could say is that they have shown that they do, and in some cases, listen to what people have been complaining about. And their decision to just focus on the gameplay mechanics this year, as well as polish up the graphics and improve the audio, I'm happy with that. And I think that I could live with that for now. That was the right decision. They honestly couldn't do more than that. And now you see this thing with this fucking steelbook. Man, you guys get away from these fucking gimmicks. That's all I gotta say. I want to know what you guys think. I'm sorry, an hour-long video, but I warned you guys. I hope you got something out of it. If there's anything I don't know yet about what's going on out there, please let me know in the comment section. As mad as I am about a lot of these issues, I am excited about a lot of these, the gameplay mechanics, the upgrades. A lot of it does sound interesting and somewhat exciting to me. I'm not doing backflips about any of this stuff, but that's all I got to say. So until there's more news to talk about, that's all I got to say, and I look forward to your comments.